What's happening, people? This is Braden, your co-host. I'm here with my other co-host, Hayden.
Hayden here with the What's Happening podcast.
It's going to be our first run. So, I mean, we've never done one of these before, so it's going to be new to us, probably new to you guys just to see us. We're just going to have fun with it. I mean, we're a couple friends who we've known each other for 2 or 3 years now. We met from,
Cheers.
There's the Rolling Rock. We met at work, and, we always had that relationship where we could talk about sports or whatever, and I feel like sometimes we might get heated, sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, it's kind of like a mutual respect kind of thing to where, I'm not, at the end of the day, it's sports, and we're not playing the sports. We're just talking about the sports. So I'm not going to take it to heart if he, has a difference in opinion or vice versa. I feel like we talk about politics or anything like that, and we both have good perspectives on things, and we don't harp each other on it. We kind of just, this is my point, it's your point, we can meet at the middle. So we think, hey, why not do a podcast? Everyone seems like they're doing podcasts, so we'll throw a hand at it. Probably the first show might be a little bumpy, but, it just comes from experience. I mean, Joe Rogan wasn't the biggest podcaster overnight when he first started. It was just him and Red Band and a little fucking web camera just chewing the shit. So that's kind of what we're going to do. And I guess we'll go off, a little bit about ourselves. Right now, currently, we live in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. It's pronounced Nevada, not Nevada. I'm going to end that debate right now. I was born in California, and then I was born in Corona, California, moved out here when I was like 1 year old, so this is all I know. I was born and raised here. Well, I wasn't born here, I was raised here. And where were you?
I'm from Indiana, PA, small town outside of Pittsburgh. If you didn't see already, I got the Crosby shirt on. Pens play at 12. Let's go Pens against a sorry Buffalo team. Before I get into that, I guess start talking about myself. From Pittsburgh. I love fighting, or watching fights, I should say. I don't really like fighting too much, but other than that, born and raised in Pittsburgh, moved out here when I was 20. Been going to fights, watching fights for years, and I like to make predictions for fights, things like that. And that's mostly what I'm going to be talking about. We're going to get into politics. I'll have to touch up on some of that stuff, and other issues going on in the world, but. Unless you can think of anything, I'm not good at talking about myself. I like talking about other people as far as.
Well, sports-wise, we have our own knowledge on each different sport. Because I grew up playing baseball, so baseball is my thing. And after I graduated high school, I kind of dove headfirst into golf. Just became a passion of mine, and I'm not a golf expert, but I kind of know what I'm doing. And so golf, baseball, that kind of thing. I always enjoyed watching UFC fights. That's kind of how I got into the MMA. I was watching UFC and seeing Forrest Griffin in The Ultimate Fighter. And I can't think off the top of my head what the other opponent's name was. Was it Bonner?
Oh, don't put me on the spot.
Something like that.
Nathan Bonner.
And it's kind of, like everyone in the world, it hooked you. As soon as you saw that fight, their ratings went up the roof, and it was just, game over at that point. Boxing, I didn't really start out watching boxing. I kind of grew into it. I kind of started watching a lot more when I met Hayden, and I love the sport. It's a beautiful sport if you know what you're looking for, kind of like any other sport. You got to look for, the good things about it. And funny thing is, the first UFC fight we went to was the Usman versus Kobe Covington, and it was, I think, 3 championship fights because it was them, and then it was Nunez versus the Brazilian girl, right? I forgot her name was.
Wasn't Andrade, was it?
No, it was like the one that they said would give her, I forget the name.
Which one? Let me go back and look.
Then the third one was what? Because there sure was
Nunez,
3 fights.
I remember Peter Yan fought Faber, no? We'll go back to that card, let's see.
Yes, he did, because he starched him with was it leg kick?
Yeah, I think he kicked him in the head and he finished him via TKO.
And then I forgot what that. Oh, it was Holloway versus it's Max Holloway versus the Australian dude, no, New Zealand guy who was I forget the New Zealand guy's name. The short little white dude that played rugby for pretty much his whole life.
Oh, Marlon Moraes versus Jose Aldo. So I got the card up
Yeah.
here now. You had that one. You had Amanda Nunes versus Durandamine. She pretty much dominated that fight. The Holloway Volkanovski.
Yeah.
If you want to do your best
Chee-hoo!
Chee-hoo impression.
If you went to Liberty High School, you know how to do it.
I know nothing about it. All I know is we did not cash on that Holloway ticket. I remember that. Or the Covington ticket. That was a little bit of a rough night. I feel like we lost a little bit of money there, but it was an overall good card.
And then the debate of the early stoppage, because that was the one, right? Or was it?
Early stoppage?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, because
Oh,
remember.
yeah. It was a debate, but I mean, Kobe Covington's fucking jaw was hanging from his face.
Yeah.
There was
how many
debate.
seconds was on there?
I
left
had
after that?
Covington. It was a close fight. It would have went whoever. I mean, Usman would have won anyway. I mean, there was Covington. I mean, there was only 2 minutes left. 4:10 into the fifth round. I guess it was only a minute into the first. But I mean, he rocked him.
Yeah.
It was split going in there according to the judges' scorecards, and Usman would have took it.
The only thing I'll say is because if it went the other way, say Kobe kicked him in the leg or head in the head and broke his jaw or punched him in the jaw, and Usman would have lost in 10 seconds. You wouldn't see Covington saying it was an early stoppage.
No.
He would be like, no, I timed it perfectly and I took my chance and I won the belt. So
I also don't think Covington really died on that sword. He didn't pull a Deontay Wilder on us and really just.
My water was poisoned.
He kind of moved on, and it'll be interesting to see. I don't know why Jorge Masvidal is getting a rematch.
I think the only argument would be that he only had 6 days, but so did Usman, and he won.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. He didn't have a camp, but that's not. I mean, you're just gonna get the same thing.
Same foot stompage.
Foot stomping. I mean, he's gonna grind him out. I mean, I just don't see how Jorge can win this. If you follow out King of Don picks on Twitter, I put 80 units or $400 on that. I really like that play. Biggest play of the year so far on that. I don't know if you want to get into that or.
You want to go into that, or do you want to talk about yesterday's fights, or do a recap?
Yeah, we could do a
fights?
recap first if we want to talk about yesterday's stuff. I mean, you had UFC on ESPN 22. You had the.
Let's do the Bellator because you had a pretty good. No.
It wasn't good. So what happened with the Bellator picks? If you followed my picks and you didn't take it, so Stations Casino made a mistake. This isn't the first time. Almost got banned from William Hill. Got banned from 5 times for doing things like this. But a little less here. I ended up putting, it was just $70 or 12 units on. They screwed up the Suen and Gibson Jr. odds. Should have been around minus 400 or so. Big favorite. They made it a pick 'em.
Mm-hmm.
And so we hammered that, and that covered a terrible Bellator card I had. You had Hamasi. I don't want to say I got unlucky. There's no thing as unluck, robbed, rigged. I mean, people like to over-exaggerate there. I thought Silva beat Julia Budd. Split decision. I think she had the better strikes. That was a half a unit plus 680. That would have been nice. Parlay fell through, which wasn't good. But I was disappointed in Hamasi, who ended up just gassing out. Rocked Paul Daly. That was my favorite play, my 3-unit play. He ended up rocking Paul Daly, and then he ended up himself getting finished in the second round. I mean, if you followed my picks, you're thinking, what the fuck, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. If you watch the fights, the Phil Davis pick I'm a little disappointed in. I had Jackson. I got to do better work. I didn't do enough research. I mentioned before the fight card that I was going to lower my units because I'm more unsure. We're putting out more picks, giving more content, but I got to take a less risk on some of the things I don't know. It's hard to get, time first off for these fights to do research. So
yeah, the Bellator. For a living. Huh? So we do work for a living.
Yes, for now.
Yeah.
You guys could help us out with that. I'm gonna keep this way. We don't know what this is. Sponsors can be put here.
It's just a green bottle.
Just a green bottle.
There's apple juice in it.
That's the apple juice. Can't name the company. But anyway, yeah, Bellator wasn't that. It was good for me, and I hate it because it wasn't good for anybody else that followed. But we did make it up on boxing and UFC big time yesterday, so that was good.
So you did have a big hit on boxing.
So I had a couple big hits on boxing. Overall, I took the draw in the... Is it Suricon? I gotta get this name right. I mean, I did the research last minute for this one.
I don't want to butcher the name.
And I do apologize for not knowing the name. Suricon versus... Is it Azalov? What the fuck is this guy's We need a Jamie.
We are the Jamie.
Right? Digum versus Sertikon. Digum, a guy out of Britain, and Serkinov, a dude out of Russia. It's in Britain, so I like that. I thought Serkinov was the better fighter. He's coming in at like plus 160 or something like that. I got these odds literally that morning. And I looked at this fight, and Dignam, he doesn't hit hard. He's not as good as Sertikon. Dignam won some early rounds. I thought it was a good decision. But Sertikon came on late. Thank God it wasn't a 12 round. That was a big thing into that one. It actually, well, I'll get into the next fight in a little bit. But I think the 10 round fight was the 10 rounds was big for me as far as getting the draw there, and that was a plus 2,000 half a unit. So that got 10 units just on that. Then you had Andrade, the champion, who seems to, I mean, you could say dodge some guys. He just hasn't fought any big names. And he fought Liam Williams, who thought it was a little weird that it was in Florida, but it was early. I mean, I guess it makes sense now at the Askren Paul fight, but it was a very early to kind of suit the British crowd. Unfortunately, Andrade just kind of dug into him early, hurt him, knocked him down, won those early rounds. Williams came on late. I think if he didn't get hurt, I like the value in the draw there. I mean, Andrade minus 300. Maybe combine that with my favorite pick in boxing, Jake Paul. That would have been a nice parlay. I could have picked up that one. But I just don't trust Andrade yet. I think he's going to get starched by the big names, like Canelo. I mean, I don't think he stands a fucking chance against him. So I took a stab, half a unit, whatever. Lost that, ended up making it. And then do we want to go into the boxing?
Jake Paul, the problem child.
Jake Paul and Ben Askren.
Now listen, I think Triller, or is it Thriller or Triller?
It's Triller.
Triller, in my opinion, if you paid for that fight, you took an L.
Well,
first of all, I don't know why anyone would want to pay for that
we
fight.
all paid for the fight because that's what we do. We do follow the law here.
But it's just, I don't know.
No.
I've heard so many bad things about that whole live show. I mean, I heard the music was okay, but I heard it was a very long pace, and it felt like it took forever just to get to the main event.
I think it's great. I think it brings in a new crowd. I think if you like live performances, it's great. If you like comedy, they had Pete Davidson on there. It's kind of funny.
He was pretty funny.
They had a slap fight. Like, I thought it was good for what it was. I mean, here's how I put it. You know, I go to a lot of UFC fights, and for the cost of a UFC fight, you know, I like the good nosebleed seats. I think you get the most value there. I would pay for that specific card. Now, based on the fact that I had 10 units on Jake Paul, this is the only reason. If I couldn't find angles or get money in there, at least 10 units. I mean, they had Ice Cube, they had Snoop Dogg. It's a good concert, and they put on Black Keys. They did like each artist did 5 or 6.
Black Keys was on there.
Black Keys.
I like the
up.
Black Keys.
So that's what I'm saying. There was only 4 fights, and it took fucking like 5-6 hours.
I heard JB was also on there too.
Is that the
Justin Bieber?
Yeah, Justin Bieber did a performance. I think he only did 3 songs, but you're getting fucking Ice Cube, E40. Snoop Dogg,
yeah,
and the rap community's gonna hate me. I didn't know who the other guy was. I was watching UFC at the same time. I just don't recognize the guy. I assume he's. I'm not even gonna get into it. But I mean, there was some big names. You had Ric Flair there. I mean, the only problem is a part of it that was entertaining was, I guess you could put Pete Davidson on the big screen at a live event. I don't know how. Maybe you could put the commentary on. No, you can't put the commentary on. So that's the problem if you do go live to a live event. But in that case, I would have paid the guy to go to that because, I mean, once you heard Oscar De La Hoya there for a while, high out of his mind on coke, that got a little annoying. So I was able to watch, I got a couple TV set up here, and, I could watch UFC and get my mind off of it. But as far as boxing content, I mean, you did have Pro Grace there, who is a world-class boxer, real good boxer, and finished Yvonne with a legal blow. I mean, I don't know what the fuck Yvonne was doing. I don't know if you saw that.
I heard of something like he tried to fake a nut shot or something like that.
Yeah, it got real weird. But that's where the commentary was funny, but you don't get that when you're live. So I think it would, I wouldn't pay even though I did. Is that a good wink? I did pay.
Very convincing wink.
Wouldn't pay for it like anything else, but It's entertaining. I mean, it is what it is, kind of thing. And I think you get, you know, it actually exceeded my expectations,
which is kind of good.
which is good. I think it's gonna bring what did one guy say on Twitter?
More boxing fans in.
Yeah, it's gonna bring a different crowd.
Do you think the YouTubers are helping getting more boxing fans or hurting?
It's definitely not hurting boxing. I mean, Pete Davidson is wrong by saying this is the best for boxing's not dead. I mean, we could get into a whole show about that. I mean, go back to last week. There was a ton of good fights. There's always good fights. You just gotta find them. They're on DAZN. They're on ESPN Plus. I'm putting out odds for them. I mean, there's good fighters out there. There's names out there. You just gotta dig. You can't expect people to tell you when to watch them.
I think it's because UFC spoiled us in a way because there's way more knockouts because the gloves are a little bit thinner.
That does make a difference. Plus, you have the fact that boxing, it's very controversial. But, I mean, people think Mayweather's boring. So, I mean, if you think Mayweather's boring, then boxing isn't for you. If you don't love the technical aspect of it.
Yeah.
But you can find bangers out there. I mean, there's back-to-back weeks with crazy heavyweight knockouts. You're going to get those. You're going to get, I guess you wouldn't call it the Jake Paul knockout. I mean, you had...
Because if you can watch a Canelo Alvarez fight and see him bob and weave from punches and not get a little bit excited, maybe boxing isn't for you.
Yeah, that's a good example because you're going to get... If you thought Canelo Triple G was good, because a lot of people watched that. I know the Mayweather Pacquiao, a lot of general fans watched that, and that was very disappointing.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just how it is. It happens in the UFC, too, where the main event usually... I mean, when you have such high-skilled fighters...
Yeah.
You're not going to get crazy knockouts or wars because those guys...
Like the good example, like Eddie Asanya versus Yoel Romero.
Perfect
Everyone thought that was going to pop off. You know, Romero was
Yeah.
either going to knock him out or he's going to knock him out, vice versa. When it came down to it, you're talking about two good guys that can knock anyone out whenever they want to,
Yep.
right? So both of them are going to be cautious about it. They're not going to go head out strong.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe Yoel Romero would do it more headstrong because he's the challenger and he needs to prove that he wants that belt.
Yes.
Because more times than not, if you go the distance with a champion and if you don't, it's not clear cut, they're just going to give it to the champion.
Yep.
So it's
That's
more
the way it
of,
should
both good fighters and they both know what the other one brings. So you're going to have a little bit of, chess. They're going to, take it slow, take opportunities when they need to. And Adesanya did a perfect job because he knew from the jump, if anyone's got to do more work here, it's Yoel Romero.
Yeah.
So he kind of let him come to him, go in his strike zone, kept him away with his leg kicks because he was chopping those legs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's game plans.
Yeah.
Like if, football or whatever, and you get ahead of somebody, you're going to start killing that clock because
Yes.
at any given moment that team can pop off and you're like, crap, we're down now.
Yeah.
So it's all about strategy. You got to be thinking about stuff. So when people say, that main event was boring, there was no knockout, this and that, you sound stupid.
Oh, no, I completely agree.
Because because you got to watch for things. Because you got to watch for grappling, for the leg defense, all that kind of stuff. You got to look for these stuff.
Oh, yeah, when you have, another man the same size. I mean, you just cut all this weight and you have another man grinding. I mean, a good example is the Deontay Wilder Fury fight. I mean, I know I'm going back into boxing, but you look at just how when a 264-pound man lays on you, it just wears you down. He didn't wear him down with punches.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get boring fights. One's right there on my wall. That was a snoozer. Sometimes styles just make fights weird, and when you get into the main event, you get into 5 rounds, you get world-class athletes. You have a guy defending a title. You don't have guys out there hungry with something to prove or have to prove something to get. I mean, a lot of these guys work second jobs, so they want that $50K bonus.
Yep.
Or there's a big style mismatch. So that's the thing. That's the same thing, going back to what we were talking about, comes into boxing. You're going to get good co-main events, undercards, guys coming up. Ryan Garcia kind of did it. There's a couple knockout guys. And, you're going to get the big fights. I mean, people say boxing's dead, and then you had Gervonta Davis and Leo Santa Cruz. And,
that was a beautiful.
And most people just saw that knockout, and it's like, dude, you knew that was going to be a banger if you just paid attention. It's just whether or not you want to pay attention and want to embrace boxing, because it is not dead.
No, hell no. It's just the difference between like a casual fan versus a guy that knows what's going on.
Yeah.
Casual fan, you're gonna want the knockout. You're gonna want the flat, like the razzle dazzle. That's what you're looking for. But if you're a hardcore fan, you're loving fighting right now.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I think it's at a time with the app thing. It's crazy because when HBO stopped doing fights 3 years ago, 2018, I think at the end of the year, you're like, oh no, where's boxing gonna go? But it just got distributed to the ESPN, Top Rank, the Zone, Oscar De Hoya, Golden Boy are putting on shows, and now this Triller. I don't really know much about Triller. I'm gonna look into it more, but
That's Mike Tyson's, right?
is it his promotion? I know he's a part of it.
Because when he fought, it was under his promotion. When he fought,
So he is the head of Triller?
I think, or he owns some of it.
Or he's part of it. I know he's part of it, but I mean, I don't know how. I haven't really looked into it. They don't have the guys yet. I mean, I know they just got Lopez off of Top Rank, so that'll be interesting. I don't know what the fuck Bob Arum's doing, talking shit about Crawford and losing Tiafimo. I mean, he's gonna lose all his guys if he's not careful. That was another good fight, the Beltran and Valadez fight.
Yeah.
With that knockout. So I mean, you just gotta look for these fights and.
But we should probably swing back to the Jake Paul because there's a lot of controversy going on right now.
The rig.
And I don't know if, because I know your side, cause we both agree, but it's just I don't. It was a right overhand, right?
Yes, the overhand right. I mean.
Because it was what, a minute and a half into it when he knocked him out.
Yeah, it was very quick. So.
Very quick.
I don't. Who did? Let's go back even further.
Okay.
Who did Jake Paul fight first? I don't know the YouTuber's name.
Deji.
Deji.
KSI's little brother.
KSI's little brother. And so someone posted on Twitter a picture of Jake all bloodied up, his face. First off, he won every round. Second off, he only boxed for, was it a month?
It's only a couple months.
2 months, 3 months?
Because he wrestled, he only had in the fighting aspect was he wrestled in high school.
And he wasn't that great of a wrestler.
No, his brother was far superior.
Brother was better. Wrestled in college. Jake didn't wrestle in college, did he? Or if
no,
he did, he
I don't think he even went to college.
Okay.
Because Logan, what happened was when he went to college, that's when Vine kind of started popping off.
Okay.
So then he started filming the Vine, started getting viral. So then he kind of stopped going to college, and he moved to LA with his brother.
So 3 years later.
But he was a state champion in high school.
Yeah, he's a good wrestler.
I think 2-time state champion.
So we'll see him versus Asker next.
Hey, I would love to see it.
He's a wrestler, right?
And then he beats Logan. and then Jake's got to be like, all right, I guess I'm doing MMA now.
Yeah, right? So didn't he give up his YouTube stuff? I don't even know what he does. He's
what happened?
Vine too.
What happened was, because when the argument of that Deji, fucked him up. Granted, yes, Deji didn't train at all for it. It's been documented. He didn't train at all for it. The thing was, like, when everyone was saying that Deji made him bloody and everything, to me that makes no sense because, if you get popped in the nose, a good shot in the nose, you're gonna get bloody.
Yeah, you get bloody nose for sure.
So I mean, it wasn't like he was cut all over his face. It was just his nose.
Yeah.
Which is gonna happen if you fight, or if he was sparring and he busted his nose up, it's gonna keep happening. That's what a nose does.
Yeah, when you don't have technical defense.
So he won against Deji, and then he was slated. He wanted to fight, I think, KSI after Logan did the second time.
Yeah, he was. Yep.
But I think either the contract wasn't getting settled, or KSI was like, you got to fight my buddy Gibb. And so Jake was like, all right, I'll fight him. So then he fought Gibb professionally because there was no head guard that time.
Yeah.
That was his first professional fight, was Gibb. And I think even before Gibb, he kind of came out and said, because he was kind of done with YouTube at that point, because to be honest, he was dropping off in views.
Okay.
He wasn't getting millions of views like he was.
Okay, this is something I didn't know. Yeah.
So he kind of made the decision, like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go full blood into it. He hardly posts anymore. When he does, it's like the music video crap, or like when he's talking crap about his other opponent. That's when he'll post.
Okay.
And so he kind of went full force into the Gibb fight, won that pretty decisively. I mean, he looked like a very skilled.
His footwork, if you go back and look at that fight, and you can see out of all these YouTubers and all these guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing, he is by far, you can tell he just put in the work the last few years. His footwork is great. He's one of those guys, I play street hockey with a guy who came in, when the Knights came to Vegas, you get all these guys that don't know what the fuck they're doing. They're not athletic. They don't know how to even hold a fucking hockey stick. But you get these guys who, some just fall out, and then we had one guy who I'm like, I don't even know why he's here, which isn't good. And now you know, 2 years later, some people can just pick it up.
Yeah.
And Jake Paul's one of those people who can just pick it up. You can tell just based on his footwork.
Mm-hmm.
And his jab is very good.
And he was trained by, I think, Sugar Mosley.
I have no clue,
That's
honestly.
who trained him for the Give and
The first
I think
fight?
it was the Give fight. He trained him, and then he got the new coach that he has now against the Nate Robinson.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know his name.
I know Askren got Freddie Roach,
Yeah.
which, I mean, it's funny because people were. I mean, I don't know anybody, I guess, but I mean, I saw it on Twitter, which you see everything on Twitter. But you know, Freddie Roach is saying how good Ben Askren is. Well, what the fuck is he gonna say? The guy
He's
trained him.
terrible.
And that he sucks. He's not. Ben Askren isn't the worst,
No.
but you know.
But he wasn't known for his striking.
He wasn't ever known for his striking, and if you go back and watch the Damian Maia fight, you can see, you know, Damian Maia isn't the greatest striker either. He's a straight grappler, and you'd think that they would cancel each other. And I mean, Damian Maia pretty much struck him, and ended up finishing him. But I mean, it was just so obvious. I mean, people, you know, Ben Askren came in looking fucking flubby as hell. He's already got a dad bod, but if you're going up in weight, you know, you can just tell he didn't look like he was training. He didn't care. It was a payday. The guy already announced he was retired. If he really wanted to come back, where do you think he would have gone? In the boxing? Well, the only reason he's going to the boxing is for a payday. If he wanted to come back, he'd go into MMA.
He probably couldn't because of his hip.
Well, he did have that hip surgery. I mean, he's had years to recover from that, but I mean, he still could. I mean, but that's the thing. The guy's he's got a foot out the door. It's just it was so obvious it's the fucking payday for that guy.
Yeah.
Whereas for Jake, his payday is coming probably next. I mean, it was just so clear to me that Jake, I didn't think he'd finish him in the first round. I honestly thought it could go to decision. I thought Jake would come out with less confidence. I thought, you know, Askren would come out better. But at the same time,
he just looked very flat.
I mean, fat and flat. We'll just put it like that, man. I mean, he wasn't taking it serious, and you could see it in the interviews. You could see it in the training.
It was the mindset.
Yeah, he was there for a payday. I mean, it was basically McGregor Mayweather again. You got fooled. It wasn't rigged. You know, no guy goes in there and falls. He fell face first into the canvas. You don't rig that. He got up. People were blaming the judge or the ref.
But he was stumbling.
This shit happened a minute in. You don't think that was... I mean, this is what I mean. This is where the casuals really get under my skin, and these people on Twitter that he was done.
It's because their argument was that he took
count.
like 20 seconds of beating from Robbie Lawler.
Oh yeah,
won that fight, but then got one hit. I'm sorry to break it to you people, but sometimes you just get that one shot, and it just shuts everything down.
Yeah.
You can see one of the best fighters that can get teed up for a minute, come back and win, but then next fight or 2 fights from now they get hit on that perfect spot, and it's like, what the hell just happened? He's done.
And your body is smarter than you, so you figure he took a beating from Maia in a sense. Before that, he took the fucking knee to the face from Jorge Masvidal.
Which that had to get some major brain damage from that one.
Yeah, I mean, he went stiff and he was out and he retired. I mean, he's mentally out of it.
And he even knew where he was when he woke up. People had to tell him what happened.
That always happens.
He explained it to his, he was talking to his wife. He woke him in the hospital. And he's like, "Oh, what happened?"
Yeah.
She's like, "It was quick." And he was like, "Well, how bad was it?" No. Or, I haven't been in a fight per se, but I've been head-to-head contact, and I blacked out for a second.
And blacked out, yeah. I got into a car accident once, and you just don't forget. You wake up, you don't know where the fuck you are, and then when I was a kid, my dad, airbag hit me. Airbag knocked me out. Little Trans Am, I'm like 7, and yeah, I got knocked out, and you just wake up, and then honestly, I woke up and then went back down and then fell back asleep. I mean, you're blurry. When you get hit in the head, man, shit happens. So, it definitely wasn't rigged. The ref, it wasn't the best.
Stoppage.
It wasn't. I just don't see the controversy. I don't see how you can see it was rigged. The ref made the right choice. You know.
Because there's still a minute left in that round, so Jake would have just started teeing off on him.
Oh yeah, Jake had him done. So I mean, the ref didn't ruin it, but you could tell. You know, he got up at 8. Jake came over a little too soon to try to finish him. Ref turns around, holds it back, turns back around again. You can see Ben Askren's legs kind of go on him, and you just don't let a guy fight like that. I mean, when a guy has 10 seconds to get up and he's still I mean, he's done. That's all there is to it. When a guy can't get his legs under him, he's done.
And it was a clean temple, right? He hit him right here, right in the temple.
Yeah.
It's a clean hit.
Definitely a clean shot.
And Jake's got hands. Like I'm not gonna I don't like Jake Paul personally, but I'll respect. Game respects game.
Yeah.
Because the whole thing that really pissed me off about the whole situation was they were making fun of him because he got emotional after winning.
Oh yeah. Well, he gets emotional in general.
And it's like, if you just your whole career, this kid, everyone's been shitting on you your whole career. Everyone wants you to lose, and they're thinking, oh, Ben's gonna beat you easily because you're actually fighting like a real fighter per se. And he just beat him decisively, knocked him out.
He beat a wrestler in a boxing match, yeah.
And, he trained for months. He's put a lot of effort, money, time.
Yep.
It's got to mess with you mentally. So I'm sorry, but if those guys making fun of him for crying were in the same situation, they'd be crying too.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of balls to get in that ring.
Yeah,
a lot of people are shit-talking him, like, you got in with, like, a 36-year-old, like, dad bod. You wouldn't have. Because what happens if you would have lost?
I mean, I would fight. I mean, I'd fight Askren, but you know what I would do? I mean, I would train as hard as Askren, dog. If I knew I was getting paid $1 million, and that's where.
Is that what he got? That was his purse?
His purse was 600 or 500,000, but he ended up making $1 million. You get the views, pay-per-views, yeah. So he made $1 million, which is, I mean, if you know how much UFC fighters get paid, a lot of them have second jobs. It's pretty embarrassing.
And he even came out and said that was his biggest payday for a fight.
There you go.
Boxing, not even what he was good at.
It's the same thing McGregor did with Mayweather, and Inzal got fooled by that too. I mean, it's just, the only reason I only put 10 units on this fight, I wanted to do 50 units, but I'm not going to trust a YouTuber with all that money. It's just, you never know. I'm not going to trust, not only am I not going to trust a YouTuber, I'm not going to trust that promotion yet. Triple G Canelo 1 is a perfect example. I did so much research on that, put 1,800 on it, and got robbed by Adeline Bird. Fuck that bitch. Come on, say it.
Hey, staying homered. We're actually winning again.
I'll leave it at that. Oh, Yankees are on?
1-0. I think it just started.
Shit. So, but yeah, it was interesting. Overall, UFC kind of put on there wasn't a lot of names on that card. You had that the close. Did you see how that ended?
No, what happened?
Jeremy Stevens pushed him.
I thought that got canceled.
That got canceled, but at the weigh-ins, Jeremy Stevens pushed him.
I didn't know that.
And Close came out and said, "Go ahead, look it up. Watch it while I talk about it."
All right.
Just type in Close Jeremy Stevens weigh-in. So Jeremy Stevens pushes Close at the weigh-in, and you'll see and then the fight gets canceled because Close ends up getting a concussion and
he pushed him that hard or he flopped.
Strain. So watch it, because people are calling him. I mean, I haven't seen it, but they're talking about it on ESPN yesterday. They're calling him out for it. I'm sure they're on Twitter calling people pussies because that's
they're
what
calling
they do.
Close out or Stevens?
Close, because he dropped out of the fight because of the push you're about to watch, Doc. So if people don't know this, I've never cut weight, but from what I've researched, learned, and looked, here we're watching it now. So that put him out of the fight. He said he couldn't feel his hands. He was vomiting. Had to be in the dark. But look at him, dude. He's stumbling around. When you cut weight, your body is drained. Khabib literally, his liver or kidneys almost fail. People's kidneys fail. The UFC has is it an underlying issue? An issue with the weight classes. Weight. With people making
too much of a big difference.
People are cutting. There's too many differences in weight classes. People cut a lot of weight. And that fucks with you. It's just like getting hit in the head, man. I mean, it just takes one little thing, just like that. I mean, does it look fake? Yeah, but it's close. I watched him at the Dariush fight. I've watched him his whole career. I really liked him against Pena. They were supposed to fight a couple weeks ago. The dude's no punk.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he got pushed. They're saying the whiplash he caused a concussion. The doctors confirmed it's a concussion. You know, I don't think he was trying to get. I know he wasn't trying to get out of the fight. It's a
Has he ever had problems making weight close?
Nobody cuts weight,
Mm.
so it wasn't like a weight cutting issue. It's just the fact that when you cut weight, your body's so fucked that I guess when he pushed him,
It went like this.
it went like that, and just it fucked something up. So you know, I've seen people.
So you think Dana is more pissed off at Stevens, or is he just like, we're gonna run it back next week, or next time we're gonna run it back?
I don't know how he's gonna recover. I mean, concussions are no joke. Because I guess he was vomiting, all this shit. He couldn't feel his hands.
So right after the weigh-in, he went to the hospital to get checked.
So I think he went to the hospital the next day. He was vomiting and everything the night before, the morning of, the next morning, and then then he went to the hospital, and that's when the doctor said he had a concussion and like a strain in his neck.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's just a freak accident. I mean, people. You know, I can't think of any examples, obviously, because I don't just fucking do this all day. But people have fucking died from falling, like, down one stair.
Yeah.
Like, weird shit. Like, you never know. Then you have people fall out of airplanes 15,000 feet and survive. Like, it's just weird shit happens. But people were obviously calling him out. But I just think it was pretty ridiculous that people would do that.
I mean, if you're medically, if you're a fighter, you don't want any excuse to get out of a fight because you just train
especially
3
when you're
months
getting
for
paid $17 to fight in the UFC. You're
Yeah.
not gonna fucking find an excuse to come out of a co-main event where.
And I guarantee you, when the doctor told him you have a concussion, you can't fight, he got hell of emotional about it. He probably argued with him saying, dude, I can fight. And probably the doctor told him, no, you're not fighting.
Well, his statement, I mean, he seemed pretty fucked up. Like, that's the thing. He didn't say that, and that's what makes me believe him more, because he came out and just put everything on the table. Like, he just kind of described it. It seemed like how it happened. Very descriptive about the vomiting, the right hand. I mean, I guess you'd have to be that. I don't know. I wouldn't. It just seems like a lot to make up for a fight that I don't see why you'd be scared of Jeremy. I mean, Jeremy Stevens is a killer, but
What'd he say about it?
I don't think he said anything. I think they're just, I think it's just Twitter talk. Maybe I just saw it on there, a little bit of that, but that's just my opinion on it. I mean, shit happens.
So you think next time they face Dana White's not even going to let them get that close?
Well, we'll see if they face, because it's awkward, because Close was supposed to fight Pena on this card, and they're both on the last card, or 3 weeks ago, whatever card that was, and I can't remember why it fell out. Probably COVID in the corner or something like that. But anyway, it fell out, and non-controversial fallout, if you want to chalk it up as that, because I didn't hear anything about it. And then they're on the same card fighting different people. So I don't really, with COVID and everything, it gets real weird. I mean, I've never seen that before, but it's not unusual. But
So did the third fight for the main card, did that get bumped up to the co-main event, or was it just they were just that fight and it just jumped to main event?
yeah, so it was just.
Like, did they get paid more for moving up a slot to co-main event, or they get the same
They
amount of
should
money?
be getting paid more. I don't know how it breaks down exactly, but you think the main event gets paid the most, co-main event, and then the 3 fights below that, I believe, get paid as main card fights, and then you have the prelims get paid a little less.
Yeah.
And then you get win bonuses, and then obviously they have the performance of the night or fight of the nights, which I don't know who won those on this one. I'm sure Whitaker got one.
So they went all the way, Whitaker.
I'm sure Gravely and Merchant. Yeah. Dude, Kevin Gaslam's a tough motherfucker, dude. He got beat.
Was it a split or was it unanimous?
No, he beat him all 5 rounds. Whitaker teed him up all 5 rounds, yeah.
Is there I couldn't watch the fight, I wasn't home. Was there any a decisive, he just whooped his ass, he was just gassed him and have anything for him?
Yeah, he pretty much just tagged him the whole fight. I mean, he was connected with his punches, a couple leg kicks, but definitely some high kicks that connected early in the first round. He really connected with Gastelum, but Gastelum bounced back. He looked really good in the 3rd or 4th round. That's about when the Jake Paul fight came on, so I was more worried about that. I had 10 units where I only had 1 unit parlay for the Whitaker fight. But Gastelum just hung in there tough, as he always does, like he did against Adesanya, but it just wasn't his night. Whitaker looked sharp. I don't know.
As a UFC fan, would you rather have seen the rematch between Whitaker and Adesanya, or the Gastelum and Adesanya?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because both of them were fighting for a second fight, right? Because they only fought him
Pretty
once.
much, because you have Vittori coming up, the Italian stallion. I know that's not his name. The Italian Dream's his name, but
Okay.
he's kind of looking for a spot. I think they need to give Whitaker the rematch with Adesanya next. I
Mhm.
think it ended quick. It was the second round knockout.
I think it was a second.
Second, because he tagged him in the first, and then he came in and he ended up getting knocked out in the second. I think that's good. Whitaker's looked good. He looked good against Cannonier. He looked good against Gastelum. Did he fight someone before that? I can't remember. But he's looked good.
He was slated to fight someone, then he had to pull out because of the
Gastelum.
bone something or whatever.
That was Gastelum. That was but that was 2019. Oh yeah, he fought Darren Till. That was a boring ass fight. That's why I forgot that. Solid win. Because right after the Adesanya fight, I believe it was the Gastelum fight he's supposed to take. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how Adesanya bounces back, and with Whitaker hot and getting this rematch, I think it's good timing for Whitaker. There could be value in Whitaker. I think he's just looked really good. Adesanya, I mean, what do? You compare him to Anderson Silva, but not. I mean, Anderson Silva just starched everybody until he didn't. And then, I mean, the Brunson decision, in my opinion, I thought he lost. I think that would have made 8 fights in a row he lost. I mean, Anderson Silva just hit a peak and then whoop, went right down. I don't think that's going to happen to Adesanya. But I think Whitaker, I mean, they just started banging and he got tagged. So I don't know if he's going to do that the next fight. I think everybody knows now Adesanya.
Because Whitaker's biggest thing was, like, he kept saying Adesanya doesn't have hands. Like, he's not going to be able to knock me out. Right? And then, because right after Adesanya knocked him out, he was like, I don't have hands. I don't have hands.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I feel like Whitaker's probably going to take his power a little bit more seriously.
You have to. I mean,
he's got to cut his range off. Because Adesanya will just keep you at a distance and tee up.
Well, now I mean, with Jan wrestling him, after the second round, it just shows. I mean, Jan's a big ass dude. It was a step up for Adesanya. I really liked Adesanya in that fight, but
he didn't try to get any weight. He kind of just fought it like his regular weight.
He gained, pretty much.
So I mean, I guess you can say maybe he doesn't have that good of a a ground game, but it's kind of hard to say because Jan outweighed him by a ton.
Well, you could definitely say he doesn't have that good, because when he fought Vettori the first time, I had Vettori plus 300. It ended up being a split decision loss, which I do agree with. That Adesanya won that fight, but that is his weakness, is the wrestling. I mean, because striking, he is just top class. I mean,
because he only lost one time when he was a kickboxer.
In kickboxing, he got knocked out. You seen that?
Yeah, I saw it.
Clean clocked.
He was teeing that guy up.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden he gets knocked
out.
That
guy, I think, is in Bellator now. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure he's coming up and doing MMA now. Which that'll be interesting to see that guy come up. And same thing with Clarissa Shields, who makes her MMA debut coming here soon. So these boxers are coming into MMA.
When is she slated? This year? Or is it next year?
Yeah, PFL starts this week. I started doing research yesterday. I have a couple fights here on my notepad that I'm breaking, or well, not breaking down, but I've broken down and have picks for. But I can't remember which week she is, because PFL does weeks. It's like it's kind of weird. It's a playoff system. You have 2 fights, 2 3-round fights, and then you get points based on, like, first round knockout, you get like 10 points, second round knockout, you get 8.
So it's wow.
And so
if you win, how many points you get?
And if you just win like a decision, it's like 3 points maybe. If you lose, you get 0.
So there's like standings to this.
So there's standings, and then it makes into a bracket, and then you fight through the bracket.
So if you get like a first round knockout, how many points would that be?
That's the max. That's 10 points.
Okay.
Well, I think it's 10. I mean,
do you get points just for fighting? Like if you get in the ring, you get like a certain amount of points?
No, if you lose, you get 0.
0. Okay.
You get 0 if you lose. So basically, if you lose, you're fucked. Okay. Because there's 10 people in it, so there's 5 fights.
That's kind of interesting.
It's very interesting, and then they fight for $1 million. They don't have the big name. I mean, they just got Anthony Pettis though. He fights Friday.
So they're fighting for $1 million. How much money do they get per fight?
That I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's dog shit. I mean, it's.
Are they getting like $20K a fight or something like that? If the grand prize is $1 million.
UFC guys don't even, I don't think, make that. No, you probably get like 5-10.
So are they fighting every week,
They don't get shit.
or it's like every like other month?
So it's broken down. They do it weird. It's not like UFC 261, 262 fight night. It's PFL 2021 week 1 is Friday.
Okay.
Then you have week 2. I think there's 4 weeks, and then there's 2 playoff weeks, and then the championship at the end of the year.
Okay.
So they switched it up. The first year they did it, it was kind of weird. I didn't like it. I lost, I wouldn't say a lot of money, but I lost a lot of the fights and definitely was down when I did it. Based on, when I did my research, I didn't take in the fact what they did was the 2-round thing.
Okay.
So if the fighter wins 2 rounds in a row, they just call it.
Huh.
That way they could have a quicker comeback.
So does that mean every single round they're posting the judge's scorecard? Or do they
no.
talk to each other and they're like, hey, we got to wave this fight off?
It's just like Tough. I don't know if you've watched Tough.
I don't think I did.
But you just go. It gets discussed when they go to their corners for the 3rd round. If all 3 judges have it 2-0 the one guy, it's just over.
Okay.
And then it just keeps going.
Even if it's like a split decision?
Well, that's
or
the
it has
thing.
to be unanimous?
So if it's split.
Like if 2 refs think, or 2 judges think he's clearly winning, but the other guy says no, the other one's winning, do they just still call the fight because 2 versus the 1?
So I believe it would go, if I remember it correctly.
Okay.
It would go to that 3rd round.
Gotcha.
It's only if it's a unanimous 2-0 for all 3 judges. Then
But they want to do that for the championship fight, right?
No. Once it gets in the playoffs, because the whole point around that is because you figure they're fighting. You have 2 weeks, then you have I think 2 play. They're fighting 5 times in 1 year. They're pulling off at Kevin Holland, which you gotta give a hell of a lot of respect for Kevin Holland for doing that. I mean that's tough, dude.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean fighting 5 times. I mean there's just the training camps, everything into it.
Plus you're fighting 5 different fighters you got to mentally prepare for each
Yeah,
time.
so they're trying to give the guys a break. By doing it that way, which I didn't like, they didn't like, but I think there was more weeks. I think they might have had 4. So you're fighting like 7, 8 fucking fights. I think maybe I don't remember it exactly, but
So then I kind of like that rule.
it's kind of taxing.
Just so like if you're getting your ass whooped, you're not like
I don't like it at all.
going 3 rounds and then you're like.
I didn't like it on Tough. I don't like it here. I think it just should be a 3-round fight, and that's just how it should be.
So what happens with that? Because the thrill of the fight is that you go in the 3rd round, and you're like, your coach's like, dude, you got to knock this motherfucker out.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what
you got to
I'm
go
saying.
balls to the wall.
So I mean, guys would go. It kind of threw me off because you would have a guy coming back in the 2nd. Imagine if you did it with Luis Pena and Munez last night. I don't know exactly how the judges have it. It was split, but I'm pretty sure Munez would have won. The guy I had, if it was just 2 rounds, but Luis Pena came back in the 3rd and won it on all 3 judges, and that's what won him the fight. I just don't like the 2-round thing because if you have a guy coming on late in the 2nd or has the power, it just takes away from it, I believe.
Because like scenario, what happens if you're fighting? Clearly you got your ass whipped 1st round.
Yeah.
2nd round, you're getting your butt kicked still. But say 10 seconds left in that clock, you hit that shot that puts your opponent on the butt. They're like all wobbly looking up. You're like, what the fuck just happened?
Yeah.
Round ends. But then the judges say he still won that 2nd round, so they call the fight
Well,
off.
they probably wouldn't call it. They'd give you the round if you knocked him
You
on
think
his
so?
ass. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you'd get that round. Well, you should. I shouldn't say 100%.
Yeah.
Adeline Bird has taken all 100% off the board for us. And some of the other judges, especially these boxing judges they bring in the MMA, is fucking ridiculous. I mean, the whole system, I don't know how you change it. It's not the worst. I think it gets exaggerated how bad it is, but they got to get the boxing judges out of there. I mean, they need to get the boxing judges out of fucking boxing. Some of them are old, clueless. I think they should watch it on a monitor like the announcers do. I think they should be in a room. I don't think they should be with the crowd. I think they should be overlooked in a room like you're taking a fucking test or something.
I agree.
Because I think the crowd influences it. I think if you ever sat ringside, you are almost in awe of the atmosphere. You're not, sometimes you're not watching the fight. I mean, you have people screaming, yelling, cheering. If one thing's happening in the corner when you're sitting right there looking up, you can't even see if I'm facing you and someone's behind. Like, it doesn't even make any fucking sense.
At certain angles, you can think someone's hitting him with all
And
his
they're not
shots.
even doing
but then
anything.
if you look at a different angle, it's like he's dodging everything.
Why they don't give him a monitor and put him in a room and do it the correct way?
We have all that technology and all the cameras nowadays. You should be able to, as a judge, be like, all right, play back 5 seconds of that.
and
Oh, he
see
missed
it.
every shot. Okay, I don't know.
I don't think that. I think you're getting a little too technical, but I think if they just watch it on a monitor in general, you should be good. Because, I mean, you got to be. I mean, I think they do actually a good job. I mean, take out some of the boxing judges who don't take into account grappling, but sometimes even you'll have the announcer say, well, how do they get this scorecard? Like, the announcer has headphones on watching it on a monitor.
Yeah.
Like, they're ringside, but they're watching on a monitor where these judges are sitting on a fucking stool at weird angles and they got to count every strike.
Yeah.
And if you're in MMA and you're on one side of the octagon and he has a takedown over there, you're almost judging it on him laying on top. You don't see strikes. I mean, submission attempts. It's just, I don't know why they don't use a monitor and put him in a room.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense to me. It should be changed. I don't think it will be. I don't know why. But, yeah. They definitely should do something.
Yeah, because you have all these other sports where it's like we have all this technology
And they use it.
and they use it.
I think.
'Cause, I mean, football. I'm not comparing the two, but football is you have your field refs, but then they also have it back in New York. They have a whole war room of just TVs where they can look at stuff and they can call it and say, hey, you might want to look at that again.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
I think for football you have sidelines, you have things like that. So the war room makes sense. I don't think you need a war room. I think you just need to put the three judges in a room and then maybe have. I mean, they do have a replay guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a replay guy. They have it's the state commission.
That's only if the ref wants to see a replay on that.
Yeah, it automatically stops the fight though, which is fine because you don't want to put too much replay into it because it could water down the sport.
Yeah, make it longer than it is, and.
I mean, it's just then you're getting real technical, but like. I think it could have been used in that Evon knockout. I mean, clearly it wasn't a low blow. Prograis.
In that case, I think they should step in.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out for him anyway because what happened was, it was an incidental low blow which went to the decision, and he was winning. But what if he wasn't winning? What if it was the other way around, and he caught the guy the body shot and he was losing and he finished him, but they said it was legal. So it should go to replay there. And then they determine. I mean, you have to stop the fight just because if you go to replay in a fight, you're just giving too much time
to recover
and things like that. But it proves you can see, like with the knee with Sterling and Jan, you didn't really need a replay.
No.
But the replay tells you what you needed to know. It was an illegal knee. It was clearly an illegal knee, disqualified.
Yeah.
Evon versus Prograis last night, it was a clean shot, obvious. That's a TKO. You know, if you're gonna lay down, I mean, I hate calling the guy a bitch, but he took the cheapest way out. You see it sometimes in fighting, rarely, but I mean, it's very, very, very frowned upon. I mean, why wouldn't it be? I mean, what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on, man. You really gonna fake a low blow? I mean, it's a fight.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a little disgraceful.
It puts a bad thing on your name.
Yeah.
It's like you're known as the guy that faked a dick shot.
Yeah, like come on now.
I mean, with Romanov, clearly the dude hit him and squaring the ball with his knee.
I think they got their yeah. I forgot about that.
There's a couple low blows on that, or some low blows, some not.
He tagged him twice with those knees.
'Cause, I mean, that was the first time I personally have ever seen a fighter get kicked in the balls and they called it a fight.
Oh yeah, it happened.
The majority of the time they get kicked in the balls and it takes like a minute. They're like, "Oh, I'm fine, let's go."
It happened in Bellator a couple weeks ago. I think twice in the same card. But
okay.
On Bellator, I like this. It was in the first round, so the fight's done. And I think they got it right with the Romanov and Espinoa. Because people are saying it was wrong, but what happened was Romanov was up on. I don't agree with this. I had Romanov, bet on Romanov 2 units, minus 135, and we hit. I thought you could have gave Espinoa the second round, and all three judges gave him the third round, which counted on the final scorecard. So I didn't actually know this. But because when an incidental low blow happens in the third round, and they call the fight, that round still counts.
Okay. As
far as being judged, so Espinoa was grinding him out. I think he took him down once, even though he got up and then took the knee. He was winning the round, and the judges gave him the round. But they gave two of them gave Romanov the first 2 rounds, whereas one gave Espinoa, I can't remember which one. It should have been the second, I believe.
Okay.
Because Romanov took him down a couple times in the first, so I thought he did win the first. So yeah, I think they got it right. I don't see any controversy in it all, besides maybe the judges' scorecards weren't as accurate as they should be. But I mean, you had the split decision with Gudenez. I mean, people cry robbery, especially these cappers on Twitter and shit like that when they, I mean, because they're putting bets in and they think everything should go their fucking way. But dude,
Yeah.
you haven't, especially with these MMA, I haven't really seen too many UFC robberies. You could have said we had one last week with, who the hell did I have? It's gonna bother me. I'll have to look it up. But, you know, you want to talk robbery, I want to see some of these guys bet boxing, because Triple G Canelo 1, that's a fucking robbery. I mean, there are robberies. You have fights that happen in other countries in boxing and things like that that really decide a fight, and it's clearly a guy will win, or they'll give it a draw, or they'll give it to the wrong guy. I mean, I've seen some crazy shit in boxing, some ridiculous shit. Not too much in UFC. I think, you know, you get these boxing judges in here, don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah.
So grappling, but I mean, what is grappling compared to striking? I mean, it's all. I mean, when I watch it and I hear Bruce Buffer reading the scorecards and some of these things that people.
The judges' scorecards.
They go to the judges' scorecards. You can't tell me that when you hear split decision that you're completely fucking surprised.
Yeah.
Some of them are that close. I mean, so don't fucking cry robbery because you lost your bet. Because if you are, you can tell you just fucking living in your mom's basement and signed up and you never watched fights before. Because this shit happens every fucking time.
Yeah, it's a fight game.
Yeah, it's the fucking fight game. Let me find who the fuck.
You find that. I'm gonna take a little break.
That was the. I gotta talk to the people. Uh oh. You hear that? What is that? It would be. Is it the Gamrot fight? Makdessi? Oh, the Jordan Griffin, Luis Saldana fight. Yeah, Jordan Griffin took him down, controlled him. I thought he won the fight. A lot of people, I'm pretty sure all the decisions had him winning the fight. However, Adeline Bird was on that card. Fuck that bitch. Gave it to Saldana. That's borderline robbery. I mean, I thought Griffin clearly won the fight, but what the fuck are you gonna do? I'm not gonna cry about it. Shit happens. It's the fight game. You know what you sign up for. So, but other than that, I'm excited. We got a couple fights coming up next week on UFC 261. I was going to go into UFC 261 if that's all right with you, unless you want to go.
Oh, I have maybe one last question about that whole PFL. Is that what it's called?
PFL? Yeah, PFL, Professional Fighting League, on ESPN+.
So because of the whole if you're losing 2 rounds thing, it's over, right? As a strategy, as a coach, if your guy's getting tuned up round 1 and you know he ain't winning the rest of the fight, are you allowed to throw in the towel to save your fighter for the following week to get, less injury? Or do they take that away from the whole 2-round thing?
Well, you're just not going to do that because you get 0 points. Pretty much if you lose.
But if you know your guy is so outclassed or there's not a shot in the world that he can do this, would you call it as a coach?
No.
Or would you go in as agreement with your fighter that I'm not throwing the towel?
You have a training camp. You're gonna have a train. You're gonna be able to recover for the next fight. No, you wouldn't throw in a towel.
Okay.
The only time you throw in a towel, you rarely get beatings in the first round. It's the thing with boxing where people get hurt, where people die, is when it's, the clean knockout doesn't really hurt you. It's when you're just getting constantly hit in the head. You're not going to get that in the first round. They'll stop the fight in the UFC or PFL in this case before that usually happens. I mean, with the 4-ounce gloves, you don't get a lot of throw in the towel situations. The refs are pretty good about making sure that shit doesn't happen. So,
okay.
No, you wouldn't do that. You want to give your fighter the best chance possible. I mean, look at Cavalcade or Holloway. I mean, he was taking a beating, and that could change his career, but that you might want to throw the towel in. You had,
So like, in that kind of
but
instance,
that's
like,
a 5 round
was it
fight.
who was the guy that fought John Jones, the bald one, the one that had his house invaded?
Oh, Anthony Smith.
Yeah, with that guy. It wasn't his last fight where he was telling his coaches, "Dude, my teeth are falling out."
Oh yeah, versus shit. Who the fuck did he fights this weekend actually.
Do you think his coaches should have stopped the fight at that point?
Ah,
Or if UFC heard that on the mic, they step in and stop it?
it's leaving my memory. Who the fuck did he fight?
Was it
Glover
Teixeira?
Teixeira.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's one where you could have threw in the towel.
Just because, like, if you can't see out of your eyes, say your eyes like completely shut,
Yeah.
they'll have a doctor step in and stop it.
Well, Bisping couldn't see out of his eye.
No one knew about it.
That's what I'm saying.
But I mean, like, if you're clearly telling your coaching staff and everyone can hear it, like you're saying your teeth are no longer in your like they're only in my mouth because my mouthpiece.
But you're not saying no mas. You're just saying your teeth are falling out.
I feel like that was his way of saying I'm kind of. I don't want to say I'm done, but I'm just telling you that my body's pretty much.
But if you're there with your fighter, I mean, you know, your adrenaline's pumping. You're in the moment. I mean, when you're saying it to me here, it's even more, or less, I should say. I don't want to say this. Persuading that you want to get out of the fight. Yeah, I mean, it's either I don't want to fight
Mm-hmm.
or no mas, as they say.
So then they have that one fighter that was telling his coach, "I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. Like, get me out of here." And his coach said, "No, stop being a pussy. You're going back in there."
Yeah, in UFC, I remember that. I mean, yeah, you got to call the fight. If the guy says he's done, he's fucking done. I mean, then that's it. But if he says anything else, I mean, you're getting punched in the fucking face. I mean, who knows? You know, guys don't even remember shit. So
Yeah.
your teeth are falling out, but maybe that's, to me, that's motivation. Like, I feel like if when I played soccer or played hockey,
You think it is as adversity that you want
yeah,
to be like,
you're almost talking out loud. Like, I've had, I mean, not a bragging point, but like when you're
soft brag.
soft brag, like
soft brag.
when you're, you know, it didn't happen often, but if a guy was just burning me or beating me all day, I'll sit there and I mean, I don't have a coach there because I played soccer, but you're saying out loud, like, dude, what the fuck do I need? I'm done. I don't want to fucking be here. Like, I'm just getting shit on. Like, you're just saying it because you know it's happening. Like, but I mean, even then, like, you're just. I feel like saying your teeth are falling out. I mean, I might have to go back and watch it, but you just don't want to take your fighter out of it sometimes. And as a coach, I feel like you think that you can make that difference by telling your guy to get back out there.
Because you know him so well from all these training
Yeah,
camps. You know what he can handle and what he can push through.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about Glover Teixeira in the 5th round. You know, the dude's fucking like almost. Is he 40? He might even be 40.
He might. Isn't he like the oldest heavyweight?
Light heavyweight.
Like to do it.
Light heavyweight.
Light heavyweight to do it.
Is he? I don't know about that. But he's old. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
He's been around for fucking ever. He's probably 42, 40, 41.
41. That's
41.
old. That's old for
And
fighting.
you're talking Anthony Smith, who's got hands. So, I mean, was he gonna come back? No, but I mean, what you know?
Yeah, I get you. So, UFC 261.
I don't really have too much for it besides if you follow me, King of Dom Picks on Twitter, we have Usman, the big bet. So I mean, we could break down that.
Yeah, we can.
That's about all I have. Do you have any questions yourself about it, or?
Because, like I was telling you earlier, the whole argument that Masvidal only had 6 days to train for this fight.
Yeah.
Okay, so did Usman. Because he was preparing for a whole completely stylistic type of fighter, right?
So yeah,
so he was preparing for Burns until Burns couldn't do it anymore because of COVID.
But there's a difference. So Mazadov has a, I guess you could say, a point in the fact that there's a difference. Usman had a training camp.
Yes, I give you
So if people don't know, Usman, trained, paid for a camp, went into a camp, worked hard. Whereas Mazadov was just fight ready. I mean,
But I already had to cut weight. Like half his
His
week or half
Oh,
his
Mazarov. Yeah.
half his 6 days was him
True.
cutting weight.
You have that. I didn't even think about that. Is you got to cut down because you're fight ready, but you're not.
So what's 185 is that weight class, or is it 175?
That would be
Or is it the 60s?
170.
75 or 170?
Yeah, welterweight.
So you think he's probably walking around close to 200 pounds? Or
Well,
like 190, 180 he's walking around.
If he's sitting for a backup, he's probably because some guys cut. I don't know the specifics, but some guys cut 5 pounds in a week.
Poirier was saying he cuts a hell of a lot of weight because he walks around 190 and he's fighting 145.
That's why the close push. I mean, well, walking around's different than cutting weight though, because California get it right with the law where they monitor what you cut, because some fighters will actually cut like up to, I mean, it's very rare, and usually the fight falls out like 15, 20 pounds before a fight, or the week of, which is insane. Like,
a lot of sauna work, a lot of wearing
it's just
rocky clothes.
You're destroying your fucking body. I mean, you are literally killing yourself cutting that weight, and
it's not healthy.
It's not healthy at all. It's a bad look for the UFC. You had that chick that fell off the scale.
Yeah.
You know, trying to cut a bunch of weight. And it hits people different. I mean, it's just like getting hit in the head. I mean, your kidney can handle it, or sometimes it can't.
Do you think they should change it up to where you weigh in the same day you fight, so you can't do that?
I like that as a humanitarian, but I kind of like the way the UFC does small weight, not many weight classes, and because you get Yoel Romero.
That freak of nature
Cutting
right there.
down to 185, which he fights at 205. I might have a hot pick for that coming up.
Because he's on Bellator now, right?
Anthony Johnson in the light heavyweight tournament. That's a good lineup. I think they have a better light heavyweight.
So a lot of those guys growing up, they wrestled. And wrestling, you weigh in, and then a couple hours later, you're wrestling.
You're fighting.
Like you don't get a whole day to replenish yourself.
Yeah, so you guys aren't cutting down.
So it's kind of strange because I'm pretty sure college does that too, right? Where you weigh in the same day you wrestle.
I don't know, but I assume.
I would assume that. So you grow up going to where you what your weight is right now.
You fight.
You're wrestling.
You're fighting at it. Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, like if you go professional fighting, you can cut down to whatever weight you want to, and then you have a whole day to just start drinking water, start eating again to get back up to where you walk around.
And a heavy walk, which is a lot of power. I mean, you'll see guys that do it right.
Because then the biggest example would probably be Conor McGregor.
Where they can.
Because that dude got down to a skeleton, like he looked horrible.
But he dominated.
But then he would buff back up again, and he would knock these guys out because he was actually this weight, but he was cutting down to these guys' weight.
It works for him. It didn't work for Gastelum, and then you see Gastelum getting teed up at middleweight because he can't cut down the welterweight and be effective. So, it's a big jump, 15 fucking pounds, man. I mean, it makes a huge difference. I mean, you're talking, it's a 15-pound weight class difference, but you're talking 30, 40 pounds as far as just muscle and everything you're cutting, water weight, all of that put into it. It makes a big difference. A lot more guys now aren't cutting down. They're actually moving up, which is good because you're gaining cardio, you're not killing yourself, and it's actually benefiting.
That's why mentally make it better, too.
Yeah, because you're not...
See Chris Cyborg, she's cutting weight, and she's bawling her eyes out because it hurts so bad.
Yeah, but I mean, look how dominant she is.
Yeah.
I mean...
It's a price to pay to be that dominant.
Yeah, and you can only do it so much. You see, they wear down, careers end. So.
Like Johnny Hendricks.
Big rig Johnny Hendricks.
When that guy could make weight, he was dangerous.
He was killing people.
He would drop you in a second.
Yep.
Then he had problems making weight, and you forgot about him because he couldn't fight anymore.
Well, when you get older, your body can't handle it anymore. So it's a give and take. It's very
right time, right place, right?
Pretty much. I mean, it does make the differences. That's why it's hard to predict fights sometimes because shit like that you don't know about it. And it could make a huge difference. I mean, you'll have wrestlers who you think have cardio, and then they'll gas out. And
it's all about how you control the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, well, and they're getting now that the fighters are getting. I mean, they're still working jobs and fighting, and it's like you don't have the money to hire the people to monitor you correctly. I mean,
because you have those big names that can hire a staff.
McGregor.
Certain things.
McGregor.
Yeah, you can buy like the cryo chamber or whatever, where you can fight all day long, recover, and feel great. As you got these other guys who are barely getting a good paycheck, and they're like, killing themselves because they have to train, go to work, train, eat correctly.
Yeah.
I'll do all these other steps that all these other guys don't have the advantage of.
And then cut weight.
So it's very I guess you could say privileged in a way if you're.
Yeah.
Because I mean, starting up, Conor didn't have all that stuff. He just got
True.
lucky because he has, the biggest thing you can in fighting is your mouth. If you can talk
Yeah,
the talk, you're gonna get people watching you, and then if you can back it up, it's even better.
Well, your biggest thing is your hands. Your hands will
Mhm.
take you, or in Khabib's case,
It's
wrestling.
that left hook, man.
I mean,
that
your
left hook.
your ability takes you further than anything, but your mouth can push out money, or make money, I should say. But
Like Covington.
yeah,
I mean, would you really be talking about, like, before he started talking like all that trash? Was he like?
Covington's pretty good. I mean, he teed up RDA. He was, he had a good fight against Usman. I mean, who's come as close as he has? I don't think anybody. He is a good fighter, but he sells himself well. Jorge Masvidal is the only reason he's got this rematch.
Yeah.
I mean,
The BMF.
he's literally bitching about it, dude. He went from, I went to the fight with him and Askren, and everybody had Askren. And I like Masvidal. He's been around forever. He's got power. And then, he's this Cuban guy who street fights that everybody loves. One of those guys to, like, we could go down a weird path here, but comes out of nowhere. I don't know how many Cubans support Trump, but it can't be very many. So
a
that
lot,
rubs.
surprisingly.
Wow.
In Florida, at least, a lot of them.
It's just
They came out.
They came out, came out of the closet. The
Yeah.
Trump closet.
Put on the red hat and like, I'm gay.
Yeah, but I don't know how much Masvidal gets paid because little Wayne has proved that you will do anything for money as far as supporting Trump. So I don't know if they're just putting people down there. I don't know how it works. I'm not too big into politics, but it definitely rubs. I mean, fighters are people that come from nothing. Masvidal is one of those people, and Trump is not. He's the furthest thing from someone who's come from nothing. So to see a guy like that support him, I think it just rubs people the wrong way. He talks a lot more than ever since he got paid and had the BMF fight with Nate. He lost his luster. I can't remember what else he fucking said that's gonna bother me that just rubs people the wrong way. Personally rubs me the wrong way. He just makes you not, you don't dress up like Scarface and then support a politician in general. I don't even give a fuck who it is. I mean, unless it's like, unless someone's coming out about the whole George Floyd thing, like, and ask you, come on the right side if politics are for some reason brought up or whatever. We can get on the whole politics and the sports thing too. That's an interesting conversation, but we'll save that for another day.
Yeah.
Point is, he's just.
So you think a lot more people are pulling for Usman in this second round or the second bout?
The script has flipped. The script has really flipped here. I think he's been bitching about it, dude. Masvidal, I need a rematch, crying about it. I mean, it's probably not quite how he sounds. But
do you think if Usman completely dominated him, he would want a rematch? Or would he just be content with his BMF belt and just fight for that?
I think...
Because technically he's never been a UFC champion. BMF doesn't count.
No, and I don't even know what happened to the BMF belt. That was kind of goofy.
I think it's kind of over at this point.
Yeah, it's corny. I don't care for it.
I mean, it was.
It made money.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. You have The Rock there and all that kind of stuff. But
yeah.
I mean, it's not going to gain any traction because, I mean,
you could just put Ngannou in there and that's the baddest motherfucker. Because, I mean, it just doesn't really stand for anything. It's just, how do you flip divisions? I had the idea that it would be fun to have it because you could keep it for the crazy guys and sell it like that. But
you have bad motherfuckers in every single weight class. So how are you going to, like, is it like bad motherfucker in this weight class and in this weight class and that one?
So I think you'd keep the belt and then, because it would have been at welterweight with Jorge. But the problem is now, if that guy starts winning, he's going to want the regular championship.
Yeah.
And then it would just kind of co-align with the welterweight championship, which would be a problem. But it would have been interesting to see it move weight classes, maybe guys jumping up, guys going down. But it just doesn't really work. It's kind of a fantasy. I kind of get where it was coming from, and I definitely get why it died.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't work. It's just like these corny belts they're bringing out for these boxers now that YouTube. But it works there. It doesn't work in professional fighting.
Do you think Nate gets a rematch?
You know,
Or does he want a rematch?
dude, I don't know what.
Or is he just done?
I don't know what Nate wants. I know.
So now they were talking about the trilogy with him and
I
Connor.
know the Latino
all that
crowd
kind of
loves
stuff.
him. I don't get where he stands. His last fight was Jorge, right?
Yeah, that was his last one because he got cut.
He got
They
the
had to
shit
stop
beat
the
out of
fight.
him. I mean, people were saying it's controversial. I mean, it put a damper on the BMF.
I mean, Masvidal was gonna win that fight.
Yeah, he's teeing him up. He won the fight. It
Yeah.
was a good stoppage. His eye was fucking shut. He was done.
Yeah.
You know, personally, I don't give a fuck. You know, it's kind of like Connor. I mean, I know he's fighting Poirier now, which is the right move. I think that's good. But it's almost like I feel like Nate falls in that Connor thing where Dana rides them so hard as well, not so much Nate, but it's like, dude, it's Poirier, it's Charles Oliveira, it's Michael Chandler right now. Those are the guys that are dominating the lightweight division.
And there's been too much of a layoff between
Too much layoff
Nate and
just all
Garner.
talk. And
It's not gonna gain as much traction now. It's been too long.
It's all talk, and I think that's where it falls in for fucking Mazadov. It's all talk. You're not even a top guy. He lost his opportunity, came in on short notice. He signed the fucking contract. That's your shot. You had your shot. You're gonna get a second one, and personally, I think he's just gonna get fucking dominated.
What's Usman's approach? Do you think he's thinking nothing's changed, I'll do the same thing, or do you think has a whole new game plan for him?
It worries me that he just starched Gilbert Burns. You know, I wouldn't say I fade guys with nice, beautiful knockouts, but it seems like when guys come off of really spectacular finishes, they get a little too cocky. But I think Usman isn't there yet. I feel like he knows he finished a Dunn Woodley. The Covington fight was a good one.
That was probably his closest one, I would say.
That's his closest one, but I feel like he hasn't. The good thing and why I really like him is he hasn't etched his name yet. Tyron Woodley is still considered a greater welterweight than him. I think he's got to prove that.
Because he had more defense.
You know, he has more to lose in this, whereas Mazadov has nothing to lose, and most people think, well, then wouldn't you take Mazadov, especially at the odds? I mean, you're looking at value. But I think Usman has more to prove, whereas Mazadov is our new Ben Askren. He's just out there trying to get a check. He's fucking 36 years old, 49 fights, been around for fucking ever. This is just him trying to get another pay-per-view check, that main card, that pay-per-view check, and that's why he's talking so much. And I think Usman just dominates him enough on the feet to get his wrestling and get him down. And
Masvidal isn't really known for his ground game.
no,
It's more of his hands.
Damian Maia, at 39 years old, took him down 4 times. And if you watch the fight, if you ever watch Damian Maia fight, I know he's getting older and he hasn't had a lot of fights lately. If it's a new crowd,
Back in the day, he was a big name.
well, he was starching everybody, all the big names, but he really controlled Mazadov. It's kind of like Pena last night against Godzian, whereas Maia attaches himself to you, so it's not like a takedown. Like, they went to the ground more than the statistics show if you look at that fight.
Yeah.
But Maia was able to use wrestling and grappling to really control Mazadov. That was a 39-year-old Maia. I mean, I know that guy didn't age then. He's aged a little more now. But other than that, you don't see Mazadov face many wrestlers. But when he does, wrestlers, he beat him. And then you had fucking Chiesa. I mean, that was the last real. I wouldn't even say wrestler. Chiesa's more of a submission guy.
Yeah.
You know, kind of like Merchart last night. You know, submission guy, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu kind of guy. And that was in 2013. So I just think Mazadov's wrestling wasn't there. Usman controlled him the first fight. He's 36.
I kind of would have loved to see a full fight between him and Askren.
Who's that?
Masvidal.
Oh, Mazadov and Askren?
Because I mean that was a one lucky shot.
It was a lucky shot. I bet on Mazadov. I think Ben Askren, he was a good fighter, but you saw from the Robbie Lawler fight he can get tagged. You saw from the
Yeah.
Maia fight he can get tagged. I mean, the Jake Paul fight, whatever you want to say about that, but I think I had him at plus Mazadov at plus 130. I just think at that time Mazadov was kind of. It almost reminds me of Anthony Smith, where he was resurging his career, and I think you're gonna get the same Mazadov as you did Anthony Smith lately, where you can only make so many runs before your body, you just can't keep up, and then it just becomes. For Anthony Smith, I think he really wants it. For Mazadov, I think it's a payday. I think Usman easily gets it done, and I have a statistic for rematches. I have the statistic because I was curious. A rematch between two fighters, the winner is 42-19. As a favorite, I think it was 24-9. And I just think it's early. Mazadov hasn't had time to work on what he needs to. I mean, he's 36. What else can he really do? This isn't like a rematch at a young age. This isn't like a Frankie Edgar, Gracie. It's just Usman's in his prime, looking sharper than ever, and Mazadov is
kind of on his way out.
He's on his way out. He's just done. This is his. It's not probably gonna be the last fight. I mean, he is only 36 in that aspect, and he's doing his thing. But I just don't think he has a chance. I think Usman really dominates him here.
All right, so we got Usman. Is there anyone else on that card, or is it kind of just like that one? Oh no, there's a lot of championships.
Yeah, hell yeah, this is a stat card.
Too bad this is in frickin' Florida.
Right.
So we got Willie Zahn versus Nama Nunez, who I'd rather be dead than red.
Dead than red. Oh no, the controversial. Hold on, let me bring up the card.
See, I don't know if it's controversial. I think Zahn wins. Is that how you pronounce her last name? Zahn? Zan? Is the H silent?
No, Zhang Weili.
Yeah.
No, this is Zhang Weili.
I think she wins.
So I haven't delved deep in anything but the main event. But if I'm going with gut, I'd go with Weili. I think she looked good against our girl over there.
The old.
I got posters everywhere.
The old scariest woman.
The Joanna, the alien.
Yeah.
I think she has sharper striking than Rose. She hits hard as fuck for a strawweight. I think Rose is good. Had a layoff. Kind of retired. That doesn't really.
Yeah.
I think she's talking a little shit here. I just don't think she's confident. I just don't think she has it for this one. She had her moment with Joanna.
Yeah.
I don't think she has it in this one.
Because Joanna's what, 1 for 4 in her last fights? 1 for 3?
Joanna, well, she lost what, twice
to Rose, won once, and then fought Weili, right?
Weili and lost. And, I mean, I was there.
Which would have been like that was like almost fight of the year, right? Or was it up there for contention?
I think it was.
Because it was pretty badass.
It was fight of the year.
It was fight of the year.
It was fight of the year. I don't know if the UFC said it was fight. Someone said it was fight. It was fight of the year.
Because it was pretty badass.
It was crazy.
Those chicks are going out. It was for
wild.
5 rounds.
It could have went either way. I think to be the champ, you got to beat the champ.
That was the last UFC event in Vegas, right before COVID.
That was the last event with people.
Okay.
As far as UFC goes.
Like a fully booked.
Well, Abu Dhabi had their fight island with McGregor and Poirier. There was some people there.
Okay.
But as far as that was weird. When I went, that was.
Something happened, right? Because there weren't that many people there.
They were announcing the COVID stuff started coming out, and I'm probably not liking it.
They could probably hear you.
I picked it up. It was happening, and you could hear like the talk around it there. I know we went to that baseball game. Everybody was there. It's. I mean.
Which I'm surprised we didn't get it because that baseball was packed.
Yeah.
If it was there, we would have got it there.
And then I went to the UFC fight.
Yep.
It wasn't packed. You could tell people sold their tickets. That's when it was coming out. You even heard talk because Weili was on the card about, obviously being Chinese.
Because Caitlin's mother was there, and there were a lot of people yelling, like, Wuhan shit, like, that kind of racist bullshit.
Yeah. I mean,
Because what does she have to do with the whole thing?
I didn't hear it. I didn't hear it as far as them chanting like shit. Like I don't think, and I sit with the rougher crowd up in the nosebleeds, so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hear too much. But like, it was probably kind of whispered about because that's all we knew then. But it was definitely a thinner crowd. You could tell some people did kind of panic sell. Wasn't quite like the Vegas shooting, which was pretty wild because like they literally shut down the whole top row and got us better seats for that shit.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like that crazy, but it was definitely thinned out. But yeah, that was the last
hoorah.
What day was that? That was March 7th.
March 7th.
Last year.
Wow.
And then we shut down probably 2 weeks later, a week later, not even two.
I think a week later. That
Like
was when
March
that
18th
was when no one was allowed in stores.
Yeah.
Which is wild.
Old people at like 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Kind of shit.
So we got Wei Li. We got her. And then before that is Shevchenko versus Andrade.
So this is interesting. What are the odds? I don't have the odds pulled up.
And Weidman's on this
Give me
card?
the J.
Holy
It's
cow.
a good card. Yeah, it's his rematch against Uriah Hall. They fought 100 years ago.
Who was Uriah Hall is one of the scariest knockouts in UFC history, in my opinion. The spinning
the
kick.
tough kick, yeah.
That dude was stiff as a board. Like I thought he
Knocked him out. And he looked good against Anderson Silva, which isn't saying too much. But
and then going against the guy that ruined Silva's career.
well, they fought. I think it was it Weidman's fourth fight of his career? Like these guys fought. It might have been Weidman's fourth and Uriah Hall's second.
In the UFC.
They fought. Yeah, let's look that up. They fought a hell of a long time ago. Well, we're not even there yet. Or we want to go there?
No, I mean we can get rid of Shevchenko versus Andrade first.
Yeah, we can knock that.
So I'm assuming Andrade is the underdog.
Where are we at on time? Do we want to keep going, or do we want to save this for maybe next week, though? 'Cause I don't
We're an
know my
hour,
picks.
pretty much hour and a half in.
I could probably break these down a little better if we have time.
So you want to save that for the next one?
Probably save it
Okay.
Because we're gonna get deeper and deeper, and I'm gonna know less and less, and I'm gonna need some refreshers. And
Then we can recap the first two we were talking about to see if we feel the
Definitely, but I think I will be. I mean, I did look at this a couple days ago, and my gut picks. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously I'm going with Usman.
same. Yeah, obviously.
But I think Weili does get it done, and we could do Shevchenko and Andrade because I do have a gut pick for this one.
Okay.
I did like this one.
Because Shevchenko, she is scary.
She is a good striker, but I think Andrade has a chance here. I
Think so?
I think there could be some value.
Are they the same size, or is Shevchenko bigger?
Shevchenko.
I know Andrade is pretty tiny.
They would be. I mean, yeah, Shevchenko would be a little bit. I mean, the flyweight just suits her so well. The whole division is basically created for her, and Andrade is definitely moving up.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think she has what it takes. I mean, I think she could catch Shevchenko. I think Shevchenko. You get these people on these win streaks. I mean, who has she fought lately? I mean,
I can find
you
that.
have Jennifer Maia, who's stiff competition. Kaylin Chokagian, Liz Kamush. I mean, just they're not bad. She beat Jen Jacich at that would have been flyweight.
Uh-huh.
That would have been the.
So her last loss was Nunez.
Yeah, 100.
And that was
years
back
ago.
in 2017.
2017. So, and that was split. I don't remember that one. Probably got to do more research on this, but
Mhm.
I just know Andrade. I mean, she's a killer. She's got 8 knockouts. She fucking slammed Rose. I remember that.
Right in her head. Yeah.
Lost in the rematch. I mean,
And that was a close one, right? That rematch.
it was close. I'll have to go back and watch that again. I know Weili knocked her ass out.
So now is she going more weight or less weight in this title fight?
It would be more weight. Like, she's moving up. She used to fight at strawweight. She's moving up to flyweight. So she doesn't have to cut weight,
Which is a good thing.
and it's her first flyweight, or second flyweight, because she fought Chokagian and finished her, but I don't know.
It's a tough one.
I just think there's value in, what are we looking at? Plus 300? Plus 310? What did it open at? Oh, it actually opened at plus 275.
Okay.
I wouldn't say it's a rule of thumb. Obviously, I'm taking Wei Lee at minus 200 now. But with smaller weight divisions, the smaller you go, men or women's, but more specifically women's, there's more value in a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Just because you don't have you don't have the power difference. There's not a lot of weight cutting. There's not a lot of
Mm-hmm.
you get more even skilled. It's just fast paced. There's no gassing. There's no cardio usually, or not a lot. You get a lot of closer fights. You get a lot of split decisions, and why not get the value? You have one person who's on that night.
Yeah.
And I feel like there can be some value there. I'll look more into it, but that's my lean is Andrade at plus 310. Not a lot. I mean, it might be even 0.5 units. It's nothing I'm crazy about, but
Yeah. All right, so that's that card so far. We'll probably get more in detail on it in the coming days.
yeah. And then what else do we got coming up this weekend? There's a boxing fight with Navra and Diaz. I don't know too much about Diaz.
When's that Frank Mir one coming up?
That was yesterday.
That was?
Yeah.
Did he win?
Nah, he lost the decision.
Oh, was it close or was it kind of unanimous?
It is what it is. I mean, Steve Cunningham, 40-something, decent boxer, just kind of outboxed him it was pretty boring. You didn't really get anything out of it.
Gotcha.
So, other than that, man, I don't.
Anything else you want to drop?
That's it. Hour 30.
That's everything?
I think that's it.
All right, then. Well, that was fun for the first one.
Yeah.
And we don't really have a set schedule yet. We're kind of trying to figure that out, which I'm sure when we figure it out, you'll know. But hey, if you have anything you want to say, drop it down in the comments below. We love positive feedback, bad feedback. If you have your own opinions on something, hey, shoot it our way. Maybe we'll even have a little segment where we talk about some of the comments.
Yeah, questions, anything, just send them our way and we can answer them or help get you the answers.
We'll probably have our Twitter handles in the bottom, but his is, you want to do the King, at King of Don Picks. Mine, I'm not sure if I'll just plug my main account or if I'll make one. We'll see.
Burner gun.
But, yeah, guys, thanks for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed it because we enjoyed it. Kind of get our feet wet in the podcast game, and you'll see us next week.
All right.
You'll find out what's happening on this podcast.